Arrival is a 2017 science fiction movie directed by Denis Villeneuve and is based on Ted Chiang's short story, The Story of Your Life. It begins with the sight of alien ships landing in various places on Earth. We follow the journey of linguist Louise as she is solicited by the military to try and communicate with the alien species, the heptapods. As she interacts with the heptapods, she slowly begins to decipher and understand their written language, consisting of the iconic logograms. Understanding these symbols has a profound impact on Louise, as this knowledge seems to alter her cognitive functioning and unlocks a new ability.
The weapon is their language, and you really learn it. You begin to perceive time the way that they do.
The idea of learning a foreign language having a direct impact on the functioning of our brain is very interesting. Could learning to read a new language change the way we think and allow us to unlock a new ability? We'll come back to that, but first let's see how our brain changes when we first learn to read. Reading is a rather recent cultural invention and is estimated to have originated around 5,500 years ago with the Sumerian symbols and the Egyptian hieroglyphs. Being such a recent event, it is not possible that evolutionary pressure could have had the time to evolve a specific region of our brain dedicated to reading. However, it is well illustrated that learning to read has a great impact on our brain in a very specific region. Namely, changes can be observed in the left occipitotemporal region, called the visual word-form area. This patch of neurons is originally used to recognize visual objects. But as we first learn to read, this area specializes in the recognition of written words, specifically of the letter shapes. This can be observed with EEG or fMRI studies, where scientists can observe a greater activity in the visual word-form area when subjects observe letters they have learned compared to random symbols. This proves that this brain area does not simply respond to horizontal or vertical bars, but knows that letters are something special. This visual expertise arises due to the association of letters with their corresponding sounds and a repeated exposition to them. Considering this aspect, we can assume that the constant exposition with the logograms and trying to decode them would have trained Louise's brain to acquire a visual expertise for the recognition of the alien symbols and the different details they entail. But what about learning a new skill thanks to reading a new language? It has been shown that learning to read enhances visual perception, memory and attention, but what about the way we think and perceive time? This has been theorized in the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. This theory from the 40s states that our thoughts and how we see the world depends on the structure of our language, meaning that people speaking different languages see the world differently. This has definitely not met a consensus in the scientific community, but it remains an interesting thought. In Arrival, the basis of this theory can be recognized as when Louise learns the alien language, her brain is reshaped, allowing her to see the future. Or rather, the alien language being cyclical, Louise has the ability to see her life as a circle not depending on time, rather than the linear representation we have of it.
Their written language has no forward or backward direction. Linguists call this nonlinear orthography, which raises the question, is this how they think?
Obviously, the ability to see a future thanks to a new language has not been studied in humans. However, language has been shown to have an influence on our representation of time. For example, people used to reading from left to right, as in most Western cultures, have a linear representation of time, with the past being to the left and the future to the right. Interestingly, the opposite has been observed in people reading from right to left. In the same logic, people used to reading downwards, as with Chinese characters for example, have a vertical representation of time. So, different languages do have an influence on how we represent time, but that's it. Although, this is true for human languages, we cannot say how alien languages would influence us. So, Arrival took an existing theory, the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, and stretched it a bit. But the questioning behind it remains very interesting. Learning human languages can change the structure of our brain as illustrated by the development of the visual word-form area, and can to some extent alter the way we perceive the world around us. Who knows what learning an alien language would do to us, a language not constrained by a human way of thinking.